So welcome to the first ever inaugural, whatever you want to call it, video podcast of the Common Constitutional, and that's me. I'm the Common Constitutionalist. So glad to meet you in person, so to speak. We're going to see how this goes. I've never tried this before. I've fiddled around with it a little bit. Haven't been happy with the results, so to speak, in the drafts that I've done. So worst case scenario is I really stink at this, and I'll go back to what I know, which is talking on audio. That's what I know. And so we'll worst case, like I said, the worst case scenario is that it ain't gonna work. I don't like it. You don't like it. I stink. Could happen. We'll see how it goes.
Listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
So, first up, this is from the Conservative Review, and this is about that dirtbag jihad woman, Linda Sarsour, who claims to be a feminist and who was according to anybody, I wrote an article about this woman, at least a couple of them anyway, about the Women's March. Remember that? I think it was back in March or April or something like that, where they did the big Million Women's March or whatever the heck that nonsense was. And she was part of the people organizing this. And she's a Sharia law advocate and a jihadi lover. And she's for women, Sharia, let's see, Sharia law, here's Sharia law, and women, okay? You do the math. It doesn't work, okay? You're either for women or you're for Sharia law. You can't be both. So anyway, I digress right off of the bat. Conservative Review writes, and here's Conservative Review. Conservative Review writes that Linda Sarsour calls for Muslims to wage jihad against Trump. Our top priority is to please Allah and only Allah. Okay, here we go. Right off of the bat. Wage jihad against Trump. What does that even mean? We don't know. Jihad could mean any number of things. It could mean that they want to kill Trump. I don't know. No idea. They want to terrorize Trump. They want to terrorize Trump and his family. I have no idea. Could be that too. They want to terrorize his administration. Could be that. Don't know that either. I don't know what the jihad means. And as far as Allah, I'm a Christian. As far as I know, just saying that in the Bible, God doesn't ascribe to or want us to ascribe to waging jihad in his name. They just don't. He doesn't want killing. He doesn't want terrorizing in his name. So if Allah is God, they're either mixed up or Allah ain't God. Take your pick. Now, I know that's incendiary. Too bad. So they write, Linda Sarsour, a Hamas-tied and prominent women's march leader, Islamic supremacist and anti-Semite. Those are some good resume points, I'll tell you. Has called for jihad, Islamic holy war, against President Trump. Addressing the 54th annual ISNA, which is the Islamic Society of North America convention this past weekend, Sarsour delivered a 22-minute screed, which I'm sure that's what it was. I didn't watch it. I don't intend to watch it. I know what she said. Attacking the Trump administration and calling on the Muslim community to unite against the White House. So maybe that's what she means about jihad, that she doesn't actually want to kill the president, unless, of course, she had a good shot. I don't know. I have no idea what goes through the head of these Islamic radical fools. But ISNA is tied to the Muslim Brotherhood. It's their front group, like CARE, like a number of these places. The Islamic Society of North America is tied to the Muslim Brotherhood, a terror organization. All right, Conservative Review continues. Sarsour began the speech thanking her favorite person in the room, Imam Suraj Wahhaj. Whatever. who has been a mentor, a motivator, and an encourager of mine. That was a quote. She does not mention that Wahaj was listed as an unindicted co-conspirator. I hate that word. Maybe that's why I can't pronounce it properly. In the 1993 World Trade bombings. Yeah, funny how she didn't mention that. But that's the way it goes, I suppose. They continue. Quote, she's been quoted here by Conservative Review. Why, sisters and brothers, why are we so unprepared? Why are we so afraid of this administration and the potential chaos that they will ensue on our community, she said. What chaos? He's been in office for 6 months now. Name the chaos. All right, other than the temporary travel ban that was finally put in, and we're going to get to that dovetails into the next segment on Iraq and ISIS. But potential, I guess it's the same thing as potential climate change or potential anything the left finds to be tragic, is the potential chaos of Trump, of the administration on Muslims. It hasn't, as far as I can see, there's been zero effect on Muslims in this country, law-abiding American Muslims. They continue. Then, in a particularly vague yet terrifying segment of her speech, Sarsour said, quote, I hope that when we stand up to those who oppress our communities, that Allah accepts from us that as a form of jihad, unquote. Yeah. May I ask again, who's oppressing those in her community? Unless her community is a bunch of jihadists, and even they're not being oppressed as far as I can see, as far as we've heard anyway. I continue, or they continue. Quote, we are struggling against tyrants and rulers not only abroad, but here in the United States of America, where you have fascists and white supremacists and Islamophobes, EIEIO, reigning in the White House, she continued. Again, fascists, white supremacists, and Islam, they just throw these labels out and they just throw them on the wall and just see which one's going to stick, which one has the most traction. They just throw these incendiary things like fire bombs. Of course, she's a jihadist, so she's probably well aware of fire bombing. At any rate, it's ridiculous hyperbole is what it is, but she's learned that from the left, or maybe the left has learned it from the jihadists. I don't know. Quote, when I wake up in the morning and I remember who is sitting in the White House, I am outraged, Sarsour exclaimed. This is not normal. Sisters and brothers, to those people sitting in the most powerful seats in this country, it is not normal. Really? It's not normal. He was elected, so that's normal as far as I can see. And she continued, calling upon Muslims to refuse to assimilate into America. And as far as I can see, I don't think she even has to call on that, because a lot of them are just refusing to assimilate. Look at Dearbornistan and Minneapolis, St. Paul, and places like that, where you have these huge swaths of Muslim communities that are just unto themselves. Of course, you have the same with illegal aliens and others, ethnic communities that just refuse to assimilate into American society. They just want to live here and do their own thing. And frankly, that wouldn't be so bad if these Muslims are peaceful and they just want to live in our country and do their own thing. I don't care. Pay your taxes, follow the law, do what you need to do. Just don't bug us, and everybody will be just fine. I don't even care if you assimilate. It doesn't matter to me. Just be good citizens and follow the law. Beyond that, couldn't care less what you do. Quote, our number one and top priority is to protect and defend our community as if it were under attack. The only reason why I would be under attack is if you're harboring fugitives, if you're harboring jihadis. Of course, then again, it looks like you're going to be harboring jihadis because you want to bring jihad against the Trump administration. So, boom. Let's see, where was I? It is not to assimilate and to please any other people in authority, she said, and our top priority is to please Allah and only Allah, as I stated before. Sarsour's address was delivered in front of the nation's largest Islamic advocacy group. Is that what they're calling the terror shell organization of ISNA? Yeah, advocacy. One which has deep ties to extremism. Well, there you go then. All right, let's continue. Federal prosecutors have labeled the Islamic Society of North America as part of the U.S. Muslim Brotherhood. Gee, there's an echo in here. Where have we heard that before? About 100 times from me and others. That was initially set up to raise funds for the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. There you go. The annual ISNA convention has often featured radical Islamists. More often than not, it has featured radical Islamists because that's what it is, a group supporting radical Islamists. So who the crap else would they feature? In 2001, Anwar al-Awlaki, who later became the leader of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, gave the keynote lecture on on tolerance. Yes, Anwar al-Awlaki talking about tolerance. Yes, indeedy. I guess these Islamists are not without a sense of humor. The ISNA convention is consistently rife with anti-Semitism. Of course, they want to drive Israel into the sea and every Jew along with it, and serves as support for the U.S. designated terrorist organizations. Those sharing the stage with Sarsour at this year's convention included a Holocaust denier. Oh, only one? I doubt that. Multiple imams who support the death penalty for homosexuals. Yeah, okay. The daughter of a convicted terrorist, and others who say Muslims should never cooperate with law enforcement. Well, ain't that just fabulous? One speaker has in the past threatened fellow Muslims with physical violence for cooperating with police. An estimated 20,000 people attended this year's convention in Rosemont, Illinois, where it's held a lot of the time. So this is just I don't know. We're the home of the free and everything. I get that. But is this just, I mean, is this some sort of suicide pact or something? Is that what it is with us? Or we let these people in, we let them spout off this nonsense. I get it, the freedom of speech, I understand that, and we should protect it at all costs. I get it. But these people are they're just over the top, and I'm not sure what to do. You don't want to be reactionary. But you can't react ahead of time. Otherwise, you end up with a Minority Report or something like the Tom Cruise movie. And you're arresting people before they even do the crime. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about these people. Hopefully they screw up. Hopefully she screws up and we can get rid of her. Don't put her in prison, people. Don't do it. Just get rid of her. Lock the gate behind you, and she can't come back in. Hey, build the wall. There's a thought. So that's all I've got on this segment, and this again will dovetail directly into the Daily Mail. What podcast would be complete without a story from the Daily Mail? So we will be right back. Don't go nowhere. See you.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
I'm back, and here we go. And again, like I said, this dovetails directly with Linda Sarsour's Jihad on America. And this is about a jihadist woman with a baby in Mosul, Iraq. This is from the Daily Mail. Of course, I said, what podcast would be complete without a story from the Daily Mail? So here we go. A photograph has emerged of a Mosul woman cradling her baby as she seemingly tries to escape the fighting that has ravaged her city, the city of Mosul, obviously. However, upon further inspection, and there's a photograph of this woman. running through these rubble-ridden streets. I mean, the whole city is just, it looks like Hiroshima after the bomb. It's unbelievable. It's just nothing but rubble. There's barely any buildings standing, and the ones that are standing are so destroyed you couldn't possibly set up shop. You couldn't possibly live in them or whatnot. They could fall at any minute. And so this place it's a complete and utter disaster. But the Iraqis are they're fighting to get their country back. Hopefully, they're fighting to get their country back. And it's not another one of these Syrian things where we're helping out the bad guys to defeat the bad guys, or Libya, which is just a bastion of hell at this point. So anyway, a photograph emerged of a Mosul woman cradling her baby as she seemingly tries to escape the fighting of her and she's holding this baby. She's in burqa, head to toe, black. She's holding a purse, and there's a photograph of her running through the city. She has her baby, about a year old maybe, I'm guessing, I don't know. But she's got this baby in her arms. She's cradling it with her left hand. Over her right hand is slung a purse. Nobody notices a thing about it. Photographer takes a snapshot of it, and she goes by. However, upon further review, it becomes apparent that the burqa-clad woman is also holding a detonator. Yes, indeedy. She's a freaking jihadist, terrorist, suicide bomber with a baby. Yeah, don't they just love their children's over there? The picture was taken moments before the suicide bomber blew herself up with her baby in her arms as she walked past Iraqi troops. So this was a ruse from the get-go. Yeah, all these, and again, this dovetails directly to the travel ban, Trump's travel ban, the one that Democrats are just they're afraid that it's going to stigmatize America, and that Trump's evil, and that we should let all these poor refugees in, and we can't vet these people, but they're women and children. Don't you want to do it for the women and children? Don't you want to do it for this freaking woman with her baby? She blows herself up with her baby in her arms. Unfreaking believable. But unfortunately, it's all too believable. The woman was walking out of a liberated area of the city with a group of fleeing civilians holding a trigger, bags, and a young infant in her arms. I can't believe what these people will go to for their stupid blanket cause. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, and again, no one's saying she wasn't coerced or forced into this, but I kind of doubt it. If she were forced into this, they probably would have held her baby back and said, we'll take care of your son. You're going to have to blow yourself up, or daughter, whoever it was. And you're going to go blow yourself up. And if you don't blow yourself up, if we don't see that, we're going to kill your baby. Something like that. But she evidently is a true believer. Not in motherhood, certainly, but a true believer in the jihadi cause. She had apparently tried to detonate the explosions as he passed the soldiers, but the bomb failed to go off until she had walked some distance away, a cameraman for local Mosul TV said. Okay. She, her child, and 2 soldiers were killed. Several civilians were also injured in the blast. So the only reason why she didn't kill a bunch of soldiers was that the detonator didn't go off properly. The explosive didn't go off, didn't detonate properly. And that's the only reason why there weren't more casualties, because they just, either the bomb makers didn't know how to do what they were supposed to be doing, she didn't carry it properly, she didn't detonate it properly, who knows what. But that's the only reason why there weren't more mass casualties anyway. Iraqi authorities are close to announcing the defeat of ISIS in the city, whose territory has been cut off to just 600 square meters over the last couple days. So basically, the end is nigh for ISIS in that area, in the Mosul territory. Troops are currently facing off with 200 ISIS soldiers and a selection of suicide bomber wives who are currently making a last stand in the ancient city. So you know that, right? Or at least you know that now. You must have suspected that earlier. but yet you allowed these women to pass by the Iraqi soldiers and blow themselves up. And again, the Daily Mail says that the troops are currently facing 200 and a selection of suicide bomber wives. Well, isn't that terrific? I hope they learned from this thing and they cordoned them off in a corral or something like that, and say, you know, and see, the thing is, when the men come through, they're allowed to frisk the men. The men pull up their garments and they strip down and they do whatever the authorities tell them to do. The women, on the other hand, because of the Islamic rules on the cultural rules, they are not allowed to be inspected at all. So they're free to pass. In these humongous flowing burqas, you could hide a suitcase nuke under one of these freaking burqas and get away with it. And the men aren't allowed to touch you. They're not allowed to frisk you. The women aren't allowed to. Nobody's allowed to lay a hand on you. So you're just free to walk on by. You're walking down the rubble-filled avenue, and all of a sudden, baby in arms, boom, off it goes. Unbelievable. So it's gotten so bad there that, I mean, and again, ISIS is just hanging on to this little bitty territory that they've got. All right, continuing on. They write that the fighters of the Islamic State are collectively pledging to fight to the death. Okay, well, I would expect them to do nothing less, to tell you the truth. Now, here's an interesting thing, and I didn't peruse this beforehand. I'm just kind of doing this cold because this is one of the topics I know pretty well, so I don't really need to review too much because I kind of know what's happening here. They write that more than 20 female suicide bombers hiding among civilians are believed to have detonated explosives in the last 2 weeks. So remember when I said that I hope that they're learning a lesson from this one suicide bomber? Well, evidently they've learned jack nothing. It's all fine and good to rescue these women, and I get that you want to rescue the women and children. The soldiers are there on the front lines. They're watching the carnage. The women and children are stuck in the middle of this thing, and you want to get them out. The problem is that you also need to save your own butt. You need to save the butts of your buddies and the troops and the actual civilians that are innocent. For sure, that you know are innocent. So evidently they haven't learned squat, and it's continuing because 20 suicide bombers over the past 2 weeks have detonated in civilian areas as they've been evacuated. I don't understand why they don't stop this crap. I just doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not there, they are, whatever. One general claimed that they were even using their own children as human shields. I'm not surprised by that at all. The women are fighting with their children right beside them, Lieutenant General Sami al-Aridi said. That's one thing I have not mastered, is the art of the pronunciation of these Arabic names. Whatever. I doubt that I'll ever master it. And I doubt that I'll ever care enough to master it. It's making us hesitant to use airstrikes to advance. If it weren't for this, we could be finished in just hours. Well, I mean, the women, I'm struggling to understand this, Lieutenant General. He says if it weren't for the women and children, they wouldn't hesitate to use airstrikes, and that the conflict would be done in the dying of their own troops would be done within a matter of hours. So they don't want to save their own troops. They don't want to save their own, for sure, innocent civilians. They're afraid about killing the innocent women and children. But the very previous sentence, they said that the women are fighting with the children right beside them, and they're using their own children as human shields. Does that not make them enemy combatants? Is there something I'm missing here? Because I just don't get it. Now the battle for Mosul and the old city neighborhoods and whatnot have been going on for quite some time. And they write that the government-backed forces by the U.S.-led coalition have been trying to drive out the terror group from the strategic city of Mosul since October. Well, they could have driven them out long ago, but again, they're balking because they don't like the optics of this thing. I guess, yeah, the optics. Because you know darn well what would happen. What's going to happen is that the U.S. will drop a bomb. They'd kill some civilians. They'd kill some women and children. Or maybe they'll drop a bomb and the concussion will allow the suicide vest to go off. Well, no one's going to know that. They're just going to, ISIS is going to come in, snap a bunch of pictures with their smartphones, put them out on the internet, and we're going to get blamed for all the nonsense. But you know what? It's high time that we don't give a crap anymore. I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of our soldiers. Every once in a while, there's not many, but they're still coming home in body bags. And for what? For jack nothing. Because we don't fight the way we're supposed to fight. You drop bombs on these sons of guns. You've already confirmed, if the Daily Mail knows that these people, or these women and children are fighting side by side with the ISIS fighters, then you take them out. You don't hesitate, you take them out. If you have some collateral damage, I feel bad for them, but not that bad. All right? You kill 20 Iraqi civilians for one American soldier. I'm sorry, this sounds callous as crap, but I don't care. All right? I want the American soldiers to go in there. I want them to fight, do what they need to do, special forces advisors and whatnot, and come home. That's what I want. Frankly, I don't even want them over there because it's a freaking fool's errand. Because it's going to form, this is just going to be another one of those vacuum situations over there. And who do you think is going to fill the vacuum? It ain't going to be the good guys. It never is. It's going to be evil dictators, Islamists, or whatever. It doesn't make any difference. It's the same thing with Syria and Assad, that we're backing the Turkish Kurds, I think it is, something like that. Well, they're not the same as the Iraqi Kurds. The Iraqi Kurds are the good guys. The Turkish Kurds are evil communists. They're bad dudes too. And yet we're backing them against Assad. Because we have to, for some reason, we have to take a side. We can't just stay out of it and say, you know what? We're sorry. This is effectively a civil war, and you guys fight it out. And we can't be the world's police force and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. So that's about all I've got. Hopefully this will turn out okay. This may be the last time you see my face in motion pictures, or I may get used to this and continue to do it. I don't know. I thought about putting a camera on a stick and taking it outside. Maybe I'll do that next week and just take a walk around and talk. We'll see. So this is the Common Constitutionalist signing off, and you may never see this, because when I start editing it, I may decide that it's the crapola, and that's that. So see ya.